Alright guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars Rebels Season 4, which is from supervising director Dave Filoni, and it had 16 episodes written and directed by several writers and directors, but the season aired from October 16th, 2017 to March 5th, 2018, which this season is great. It's definitely my favorite season of Rebels, and just some of my favorite Star Wars stories just in general. One thing, the previous seasons I think are a little more episodic, where this season is a lot more serialized, definitely starting around the 5th episode when you see the Ghost Crew head back to Lothal, and then from there, pretty much every episode leads into the next, which I'll get into those more in a little bit, but the first 4 episodes are, really 2, as it's back-to-back 2-parters. Episodes 1 and 2 are part 1 and 2, and then episodes 3 and 4 are another part 1 and 2, which the first 2 are, a more Mandalorian episode, which kind of wraps up a lot of the stuff with Sabine and, her Mandalorian past, which I quite enjoyed that in season 3, and, this premiere episode I enjoyed, but it wasn't my favorite of the Mandalorian arc from the series, but the next was a more rebellion-focused episode where we see the return of Saw Gerrera, which I like those episodes also, but I just wasn't as into it as really the rest of the season. But, I thought it wrapped up stuff with Saw nicely for this series, and also kind of had some Death Star teases. But, like I said, then everything goes to Lothal in episode 5, and then kind of just throughout the rest of the season, it just takes place on Lothal, and pretty much just follows the Ghost Crew, and then a couple other more Lothal characters like Ryder Azadi, and so it kind of brings the series back to the first season, but this time it's just a lot more emotional and personal, as obviously we've seen the characters grow so much since the first season, and definitely for Ezra, just because of how much Lothal means to him. But I also loved how the characters have also kind of grown as a family also, and how that also plays in to the season and the overarching story, which really the overarching story is the Ghost Crew helping out the people of Lothal, which the first half is more about them trying to find out info on the TIE Defender Thrawn and the Imperials are working on, which was great. I quite enjoyed all that. But then the second half is where it gets really, really good. The second half, really episodes 9 through 16 are, some of my favorite Star Wars stories, as so much happens. There's, a lot of sad, emotional moments. The biggest being the death of Kanan, and then seeing the characters kind of then deal with, the aftermath of that, and then kind of really leads into a lot of mystical things for Ezra, which I really, really enjoyed. But, in the end, the Rebels come out on top, even without the help of the bigger rebellion. But, obviously, it doesn't come without sacrifices, as, we obviously see Kanan, but also Ezra, kind of sacrifice himself to help out the people of Lothal. But, the whole Lothal arc for this season, which, like I said, started in episode 5, just did everything I want from a Star Wars story. It was emotional, but also mystical, and also personal, too, for the characters. It wasn't that, crazy big scale of a story. It felt more personal to the Ghost Crew and Lothal. But, I also thought I had a lot of hope to the story in the end also, which is all I really want from a Star Wars story. But it does all of it so well, so I really enjoyed all of that. But I talked a little bit about the characters, so I'll kind of dive more into them. Which, first, Kanan, he was great. I loved him throughout the season. Well, half of the season, but, one big thing I liked was seeing him and Hera kind of fully open up about their love for each other, which, obviously was present throughout the series, but it, was definitely in this season. But obviously then his sacrifice he makes to save his family was great. Which kind of before that, we kind of see him kind of come to peace with everything. It just seems more calm and more, at ease with everything. And there's a lot of things with him and Ezra with these Loth wolves throughout the season, which one of them, says Doom a lot, which is Kanan's real last name, as his real name was Caleb Doom. So I do kind of wonder if maybe he just kind of knew what he had to do, and that it was going to happen, and so we see him come to peace with it. I'm not fully sure, but one thing I really loved was seeing all the other characters then have to kind of deal with the grief of losing him, and they don't really have the time to do so, which we see Ezra kind of go through a lot of mystical stuff. Obviously, before Kanan's death, I mentioned the Loth wolves and also Loth cats, which there's a lot of that beforehand, but then after that, we see him speak with the Loth wolves, and then obviously all the stuff with the world between worlds happens, where he then kind of learns that he needs to let go, and that even though he wasn't ready to lose Kanan yet, it still happened, and Kanan sacrificed his life so that he could still be there. So he kind of just needs to accept the loss and whatnot, and obviously no one's ever really ready to lose anyone, but that is just the case of life. So I quite enjoyed that. But because of that, in the end, we kind of see him himself kind of make a sacrifice, and he, to save the people of Lothal and, his family, the Ghost Crew and whatnot, as obviously he doesn't die, but he goes somewhere out unknown into the galaxy with Thrawn, which I really loved all those moments in the final episodes. But before that, I really enjoyed seeing him back on Lothal, seeing what's happened to it, and still being hopeful to stop the Empire and whatnot. But with the other members of the Ghost Crew, obviously we all see them wanting to help out Ezra on Lothal and whatnot. Obviously with Sabine, like I mentioned earlier, we do get stuff on Mandalore at the start of the season, which wraps up that storyline, which I wasn't into the episode as much as the other Sabine Mandalorian episodes, but I thought it was a solid enough conclusion as we see her destroy the weapon she made for the Empire, and then hand the Darksaber over to Bo-Katan, but then rejoins the Rebels and, helps them out there and heads to Lothal, where, we see her with Ezra a lot, helping him out. I also kind of liked, with Kanan's death, seeing how she reacts to it, which is similar to Zeb, both of them wanting to go get revenge on the Empire, but then while doing so kind of realizes that Kanan's sacrifice ended up helping them out by the fuel being destroyed on Lothal, so kind of messed with their the TIE Defender thingy. But I also liked how Sabine's story ends, with the epilogue scene, which, the epilogue scene just in general I really liked, which I'll kind of get into more with some of the other characters later. But I like the tease of her going out with Ahsoka to find Ezra, which we're finally going to get that followed up on soon. But with Hera, obviously I kind of talked about her earlier with Kanan, as both of them start to finally open up about their love for each other, which in the epilogue we see that they actually ended up having a child named Jason. Obviously that's just a very short moment in the epilogue, but I also love the moments of her dealing with the death of Kanan. Before that, Kanan finds her family's Kalikori, and we see Hera then add Kanan to it, which was a nice moment. But I also liked Hera's continuous arc of being a rebel leader, and in this season, mainly at the start, we see her becoming a bigger part of the rebellion. But I also liked seeing her go up the bat for Ezra and convincing the rebel leaders to help Lothal out. But one thing I will say about all the characters, I do wish we got a little more out of Zeb this season. Obviously, he's there and has a lot of great moments, but I don't really think he had like a really big defining moment this season. But I still enjoyed where his character goes and how he helps out and whatnot. And obviously Chopper is Chopper, but because of this season being more central to the Ghost crew and Lothal, the supporting or side characters don't get as much to do, which I will say I was a little disappointed that Kallus and Rex don't get as much, but I still liked what we got from them and how they help out in the end. And also talk about the epilogue, I really loved the moment of Zeb taking Kallus to Lyrasan, was that the planet name where all the Lasat have gone to? Zeb showing Kallus that the Lasat aren't gone, and for Rex knowing that he continued to fight for the rebellion even in the Battle of Endor. But for the villains, obviously Thrawn returns, which he's great in every moment. There is also some Palpatine too at the end, which I really liked. But I'd say Governor Pryce was kind of the biggest villain on Lothal, as Thrawn doesn't really spend that much time on Lothal, as he goes back to Coruscant for a few episodes and then reappears at the very end, which I loved the moments with him in the finale. But with Governor Pryce, I liked her, but she is kind of just more of a normal Imperial officer villain, so I really don't think there was anything like super duper special about her. There was also Thrawn's assassin, Rook, which I liked him, but once again, I don't feel like we got much. Well, he appears a good bit, but I don't know. I was kind of hoping for a little more from him. Obviously, some non-villain characters. We see the return of Ahsoka, which was great. I loved everything with her in the World Between Worlds, and then in the epilogue, the tease at the very end, which that's all she appears, in. But I really enjoyed the moments in the World Between Worlds, seeing her help Ezra kind of come to terms with Kanan's death and whatnot, so I enjoyed that. But also Ryder Azadi returns, which out of all the supporting characters, he probably has the biggest role, as he is on Lothal and being the former governor of Lothal, which I liked how he has some doubts with the Ghost crew, but obviously they both want the same goals, so he still fights alongside with them. And near the end, I liked how there's the fake out of him turning on the rebels, and it ends up being that it was part of the plan to lure out the Imperials. But there are several other characters who return to help fight the Empire on Lothal. We see Vizago and Jaikel, who are more located on Lothal. But we see Martin Matten, Hondo Ohnaka, Ketsu Anya, and the clones Wolf and Gregor also all return, which most of them only return in the finale, and so don't really get a crazy amount of stuff to do, but I enjoyed their presence. And with the clones, we do see the death of Gregor as he goes out helping the rebels take back Lothal. And obviously then there's other characters from the first few episodes before the Lothal stuff. We see Mon Mothma again, which I enjoyed some of her moments of Saw Gerrera and the kind of different views they both have, even though they want the same goals. So I enjoyed all that, and then seeing Saw and Ezra and Sabine work together, and they kind of pick up a trail on the Death Star, but then not being able to find out much about it. But also a lot of Mandalorian characters return, like a lot of Sabine's family, Bo-Katan and Fenn-Rau, but they only appear in that season premiere episode, so, once again, they don't really get as much to do. But that's all I really have to say about characters. Like I said, the side characters don't get, side or supporting characters don't get as much to do this season, but, the amount of stuff we get from the main Ghost crew characters was all, great. I really loved a lot of it, so that made up for it. But also the score was once again great from Kevin Kiner, some of his best work within Star Wars. I loved, guess Kanan's like end theme, I guess. That was a great one, but I also liked a lot of the like music right when they return to Lothal. It's kind of very sad sounding, but then obviously a lot of returning themes from previous seasons, which are once again great. I also like the visuals this season. Obviously, I've talked about the animation not being as good as maybe some of the other animated Star Wars series, but I thought this season did a lot of great visual stuff, definitely in the second half of the season, which, just all in all, the second half of the season is fantastic to me. I really, really love, all those episodes, but the first half I do also quite enjoy a lot. So, I really, really love this season a lot, and, the season means a lot to me, and the series as a whole. I've loved these characters so much. So yeah, but I don't really have much else to say. So my grade, I'm giving it an A+. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for this one. You check out all my other Rebels reviews. Eventually I'll get around to doing individual episode reviews for season 3 and 4, but later tonight, and maybe in like a couple hours or even a couple minutes, I don't know, Ahsoka will premiere, getting this review in at the buzzer, but I'll be doing reviews of both episodes of that, so you check those out then. But in the meantime, check out all my other videos and everything else to do by Star Wars review, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.